Well, welcome to the Well After Hours, the place where we gather to have great conversations with great guests. I'm your host, Beverly Allen, and today I have a great guest of mine that is here today in the person of Lady Judith Smith Parrott. Judith, welcome to the Well After Hours. So happy to have you here today. Been looking forward to it too.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Oh my goodness. I better put a disclaimer up though, because this show may add a few pounds to your life. And I'm just saying, it's going to go that route. So I don't want to be blamed for that. But for some people, it'd be a good thing. For some of us, we may feel like that's a little too much temptation. But this is great. It's going to be a blessing to you viewers. So Judith, I am so glad to have you here. And you were in education as well. The bio was in the opening. The viewers saw a brief bio, but just to talk a little bit about you, because I've known you for such a long time. We have been sisters back in the day, even up to this point. We haven't been in touch for a long time, but you have been doing great things since last we spoke. And that's why we brought you here to the well today, because you have so much inspiration to give. But first of all, you were an educator for years. Correct, right?
Yeah.
You're married. Your husband is a minister, been a long time preacher, teacher, author, and the person of Reverend James Parrott. You have a son, older son, James, and he is married to your lovely daughter-in-law, Hanisha. And you have two grandchildren, two beautiful granddaughters, which is just absolutely wonderful. I know I'm a grandma, so I know how that feels with the children. It just adds so much to our lives, and it's just beautiful to be at this stage to be able to be a part of grandchildren's lives. And you've been an educator for years, as well as your husband. Now, you taught elementary school, correct?
Not really. I taught adult education, which the prerequisite is you have to be certified in elementary education, because you're teaching basic skills to adults that that either left school or just need to reinforce basic skills.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so you were teaching adult education for about how many years, would you say?
I taught for 15, supervised adults for the adult program for 10.
Wow. And your husband as well, he was teaching for a while, because I know my niece had him as a teacher when she was in school. And how great you two had so much in common. But as time has gone on, you both have been teachers, and now you have gone from, and this is the great thing about it, people, you went from being a teacher, I thought an elementary teacher, but elementary adult education, to being an entrepreneur. And that is amazing. And I would like you to just tell the viewers about the journey to that, because recently you retired, correct?
Yes, I had retired. And when you work for the state, you can retire after 25 years and 55. So I did that. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I need a second act. And I've always baked for family and friends. And their constant was, you should do this for a business. I was like, I'll never, ever do this as a business. I was like, I don't think I could do something like this. I said, I enjoy what I'm doing. I bake because I love it, and I want to give people a little part of me. And the first time that I did a farmer's market and a person bought one of my cakes, I thought I was going to fall on the floor, because I was like, somebody actually paid me for my baked goods. And I was like, I really can do this. And I thank God it's just for the growth. And I look back to when I first started, which was a little over 8 years ago. And I look to where I am now, and I'm like, the journey.
Wow. That is amazing. And wait a minute. So you retired how many years ago?
In 2010.
Oh, okay. That wasn't that long ago, actually. and you know, the reason I say that, because you, and this is what I hope the viewers, you know, get out of this too, is that you were thinking about things you wanted to do as you neared your retirement phase of life, right? And you had said one time, which teaches us never say never, that you would never be doing this for a living. But the thing that you used to love to do, because obviously you love baking and all of that, and became so good at it. I mean, I don't know what formal training you have, but all I know is from all the things that I've tasted that you made, you could have graduated from the Sorbonne in Paris or someplace, but because your skills are so excellent. I mean, the taste of your food is second to none. Your baked goods are just awesome.
Thank you for such kind words. I learned from grandmother and aunts, and that's basically where I have to say it came from. Sometimes when I wanted to learn how to do something, as they say, you call on your ancestors, and all of a sudden I hear Ma in the background saying, you need to add a little more of this, or you need to do this, or why don't you try it this way? And I'm like, okay, thank you. So I can say I learned at the foot of my ancestors.
Wow. But you know, but then having learned that, I mean, from whoever you were ever in the kitchen with and taking notes, you took some good notes, and how you probably have even added some of your own experimentation to it.
Yeah. That one thing, as I say, baking is a science. So you can't. I'll try to add different flavors and different textures. As I say, I'll try anything once, and then some of my biggest I feel my biggest mistakes have been some of my biggest successes. Say
that again. Please say that again.
My biggest mistakes have been some of my biggest successes. Definitely. Awesome. One of the cakes that people love is both. I have two, the hummingbird cake and the lemon cake, and both the hummingbird cake comes from my aunt, and we call it the cake that don't last. And it's like no matter how many, like if you say, well, I'll have to make two of those, and then all of a sudden you're like, where did my cake go to? And it's just, it's such a great combination of like bananas and pineapple and pecans. It's just literally just melts in your mouth.
Oh.
And then the lemon cake, who doesn't like lemons?
Oh.
And besides the taste of it, it's just the smell. It's just and then if you warm it up with a little bit of ice cream.
Oh my goodness. That's why we had to put up a disclaimer. For pound gains. That is just, I've tasted them, so I know. And you know what? Having said that, viewers, I'm going to take a break just to give you a little treat. I'm going to show you some of the samples of her delicious tasties that she has, that we're going to give you information at the end of how you can get all this and what you need to do when you see it, because if you see it, you're definitely going to want it. So we'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, I tell you, I know you enjoyed seeing all those treats and all those things that are available for your different occasions or gatherings or affairs that you may have. While we were just on a break watching what you were seeing, I was speaking with Judith about the ability that she has to be able to ship them out. You could tell the viewers a little bit about that, Judith, about how you're able to even send them out.
We ship priority, and the majority of our desserts can be shipped. It's just anything that has icing, we're not, it doesn't ship well. So
Understandably, yeah.
we don't do that. We will, you can come to the commercial kitchen, you can place an order, and we will have it ready for you. We do a limited amount of deliveries also. So that's another option. And so that that the viewers can, if they're interested in some of the products.
Wow, that is so awesome. And you know, I also was reading about, like, you have a location where you do a lot of vending. You've been at Whole Foods vending and farmers market going around, but your actual cooking takes place where?
And the name of the kitchen is called Something Special Sharing Kitchen. It's located in Ewing, New Jersey. What it is an incubator kitchen where there's approximately, I'm going to say, 7 other food purveyors come in to make their products to sell for the public. So we're not all there at the same time, but we all have usage of the kitchen. And so basically, it helps businesses to get started in the commercial realm of selling their products. Because, example, if I have to make like 50 cakes, it's impossible to make 50 cakes and my little oven at home, but I can do it in the commercial kitchen in a couple of hours, wherein that might take me a week and a half to do it at home. So
wow.
Yeah.
So what some of the steps, how you went from, actually, okay, you have the vision and you're making it plain. How did you start and arrive at where you are now, professionally, because, there are a lot of people who don't actually move forward in things because it looks like the job looks so big and it looks so difficult. But I guess they say, you chip at a mountain, the way to bring a mountain down is one chip at a time. You have to take one step at a time. Maybe you could share with viewers, because the awesome thing about you too is that you did this. Most people would say, oh, you have to start at a certain age to do a business. But when you are walking, and I know as you are a woman of faith, as you walk by faith, it's like you don't have to look. And I believe the same thing, because I'm doing things later in life now. I would have said, Lord, could we have done this a little earlier? But God's timing is not our timing, but I thank God for just being able to have another phase of life, that you can take something that he puts in your heart and, give it to him and do it. Take those steps of faith. And that is just awesome, because where you are now, you work in such excellence, and your presentations and everything that you do. Some people would probably never even think about it. So I think that's something that I think is good to share with the viewers, to see that, what, when God puts something on your heart to do, you do it with all your might, and you take that step, that leap of faith, and how you went from that leap to where you are now.
Well, when I thought about doing this as a business, and I had something I had never really done before, I took a class at the SCORE. They had a startup for business, which lasted 7 weeks. And so I took that, so I learned how to run a business and be successful with it, because I didn't want to start something and then all of a sudden I put all this money out and I didn't know what I was doing. So I did that, and then I took the class for food safety called the Serve Safe. I took that class, so I knew how to make sure that I was hopefully not making anybody sick with my so, and then I started out doing one farmer's market, and from there I met some people who made some suggestions that they invited me to do some county fairs, and then from there got into another couple other farmers markets, and then I started doing whatever the Whole Foods in Cherry Hill had this program for small businesses to be able to sell their product in the stores called the Hatchery. And it was the only one in the country that has that program. So then I started doing there, and again, some different suggestions and stuff. And I guess I want to say the rest is history. That's kind of, it's just started very small and just learning as I go along. And I belong to a mastermind group of other women that have businesses that help. Like whenever you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, I'm not sure, I really need, it's just I need a little bit of business advice that but you can call upon these women to help me. So those are kind of where I am.
Wow. That is awesome, because your online presentation, you're on Instagram and everything is so beautiful and put together, so well. And sometimes, people start out, you don't know what to, how to start, what's some of the first steps, that you have to take. And thank goodness you have kind of like a little mentorship group where you all help each other, or share information or, expertise, that you can do that. What would you recommend to anybody who is nearing retirement and has had a long dream about doing something that they may feel it's too late, or they think, discouraged, thinking that, oh, I can't do this now?
I will say I have two things. The first thing is it's never too late. If this is your dream, if God has put this in your heart to go forth and do it. There's a scripture that I use, Psalms 127:1. It's except the Lord build the house, they that labor in vain. But when the pastor preached a message, he said, take it to, except the Lord build the business, they that labor in vain. And that's how I've done everything that with the business. I check with God, make sure and pray about it. Is this the direction that you would have me to go? And sometimes when God has said no, and of course I get a lot like, I really don't think I heard you say no, but let me ask you again, just to make sure you said no. And then you ask a third time. But basically, if you follow those steps, you just say, this is what I want to do, but you make sure that you do your research. Don't just decide, well, I want to make hats, but I've never made hats. I have no, but this is, and I'm not going to go to school. I'm just going to I'm going to go to the store and buy some stuff and put it together. And then it doesn't work. You haven't done your research. Do all of that before you step out into it. I know with a lot, with the cakes, a lot of times I have a desire to try different flavors. And some of my neighbors have, they're my best friends. I was like, try this and be honest, You
have a little survey group.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the way always I give out a lot of samples, and I take honest feedback for whether what the flavor is, how it should work, or it doesn't work. Just those things.
Wow. Well, I tell you, it's one of the greatest lessons and one of the worst things, I would say, or the things that have been the most challenging, have you learned kind of like through this journey?
I'm going to have to say my most challenging was 4 years ago. I had a major stroke.
Wow.
And I had just won what was called the New Jersey Food Artisan of the Year.
Mm.
And with that comes a lot of press, a lot of people looking for, especially when they're trying your product, they want to meet you. And I was in a hospital for 2 months, and then after it, I still had to, had to learn to walk and do all these things, and was told that my doctor said to me, "I don't have much hope for you."
Wow.
And she didn't tell me this until after everything was, I started walking and being able to use my hands. She said, I'm glad she didn't, because
Yeah, that would have been discouraging. My goodness.
yeah, and I look at where I am today, and just again, back to, I've gotten more business. I've gotten I've gotten a couple of corporate accounts. I bake for restaurants, and that's it. It's just like, that was a challenge that I was able to overcome. And I overcame it with the help of God, my family. And I have a couple of people that I help I have a helper in the kitchen who's she's just, and a lot of times when I'm not supposed to do something, and she says, "Well, you go ahead. I'm going to let you do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm going to try." And I've been able to be successful with it. So that, I'm going to say, was my biggest challenge, and I guess I just putting myself out there, and that I'm really, trying to, because I'm kind of introverted, trying to talk to people about my product, getting them to sample it, and laughing and joking with them. And was kind of hard for me also.
Wow. How about what business advice would you get someone who feels like maybe they don't have grand funds to start a thing? How small? Can they still start off small?
Yes. I started my business with $50 to go buy a license. And that was it. I went to buy my business license. And every dime that I spent, I put money in. I didn't take it out until I was able to be successful. Like, if it wasn't like, "Oh, okay, I sold the cake," and you sold the cake, and then you go spend that money. No, you put the money right back into the business, and you make sure that you keep accurate records. Don't, do not be commingling funds, making sure that this is how you get your business to grow. Just like, as I said, putting everything back into the business until it becomes like, it begins to support itself, and that it will, if you do it the proper way.
Wow. And how would you say to most people how much time they have to be patient? I know, patient with themselves, patient with building a business. It doesn't, just because you could be the greatest chef or the greatest cook in the world, doesn't mean your business is going to be an overnight success, or things like that. How is there a time frame that you think people should allow at least themselves to, what you call, really give it a try? Because sometimes people say, "Oh, if it doesn't work after 6 months, and it doesn't always work like that. You need more than 6 months, to get things sometimes up and running and really going, so that people will know about it. What do you think about that?
Yes, it takes time. I'm going to use an analogy. The same way you make a mix and you put the cake in the oven. It's going to take 45 minutes to an hour and a half to cook. You can pull it out at 20 minutes and you're going to have a mess. Or you can wait the whole time of the hour and a half and you're going to be successful. And it's the same way with your business. You have to, it's going to take time. Yeah, there are some people that they, all of a sudden, like, yes, I've made it in less than 2 weeks, fine. But the average business is going to take a couple of years to be successful. It's not, before you can honestly say, yes, the business is supporting itself. And everyone, I don't care if a person is making $1 million or $1, they have come to the point where they're just like, they feel like, I can't do it anymore. Everybody goes through that. And when you do that, get back up off the floor and start over again. And that's it. And just because the same way you did, same energy that you had to start the business is what's going to keep you running the business.
Wow. That is so important for people to know, because people are very quick to give up, and you have to just go in it knowing that it's gonna take time and take work. Just because you have faith doesn't mean you eliminate work. As James said, faith without works is dead. A business without some work and a business plan, as you said, that is dead too. So it's so important to know that. And you've also pointed out that if you don't have to have a lot of fun. Sometimes, like you said, if people would do the research first, sometimes they're discouraged before they even do the research to find out all that it would take and how they can actually do it is, in steps or bites at a time. So I'm sure like you're the perfect person to say, because like you said, you started out small. It didn't just grow to where it is now overnight.
No, it isn't. And it did. It took work. It took work. And then always looking at the end game, looking at where you want. It's like, where do you want to be 5 years from now? Where do you want to be 10 years from now? And you keep projecting the play. It's like, okay. And each time you reach a milestone, you set the marker a little bit further and keep until you hit that. And then you push it a little further and just keep pushing yourself. And one of the things is you're never too old to start. A lot of people don't start their businesses until they're at least 50 years old. Like, it's like the second half, and it's kind of like, it's like something that's in the back of your head that you've always wanted to do. Why not? Just go ahead and try it. And that's it.
As Nike says, just do it, right? and then also too, what you also have shown is how creatively you have your business. You don't have to have people say, oh, well, rental space is so expensive, and trying to get a place to start a this. Listen, you have the commercial kitchen where you can actually, which is, to me, I think that's just brilliant. You've cut down on cost and overhead, and your business has already been set up online. I mean, even through the pandemic, you can still send out certain things to people. And being that, especially with a lot of the vending that are in places where people could still go, because they still had to go to the market, they still had to buy food, and being there and even practicing, they could still practice social distancing. The way that the supermarkets are set up for entry, and exit out of places, and how they operate. So you were really right on point. To even have that online, were you online right away when you started your business?
I've always had a presence on Facebook and Instagram. I've always had it, but through the pandemic, which is been very helpful, where I've gotten new customers because they found me on Instagram and on Facebook. So that, and it kind of, I don't like to say it helped, but it did. It helped. It kept me afloat, where in a lot of places had to, especially food businesses, had to close down. I was able to still sell my product to some new people who hadn't seen me before. And I also was able to, I sell my products in a catalog of people at all across the country who don't, who I may never meet, but they just purchased the cakes through the catalog. And that was another thing that happened through the pandemic.
Wow. And the pandemic has really opened as many doors as people may have said closed doors, because it's taught everyone another way to do business, and people were home. A lot of times all they had time to do sometimes was surf the net in between, looking for different things. And, and then they had Uber Eats where they could deliver, front door delivery, drop off. It's just like so many things that it's amazing how things go. Like one area could be flourishing while another area, is decreasing or diminishing. So you can't just say, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. But there's so many creative ways. And I think that the pandemic has taught many of us how to do things differently and to be set up, for to meet people's needs, because it's the way it is. It's kind of service oriented. If you can meet the need, you got a great business.
That's it. You're right about that. You just have to meet people where they're, it's just like, okay, well, let's try plan B. And that was it. And plan B for myself worked out well.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and that's a great point. Like you said, you have plan A and plan B. When did you make like two separate plans when you started out? Like, I'm going to do this, I'll give this much time to it, or how did you figure, like you're looking maybe kind of long term, what you would do, your approach? What was your approach to that?
My original plan A was to have a cafe where I sold my cakes and pies, and people would have come in and get a cup of coffee and sit down and enjoy the desserts. That was my plan A, which never ever materialized. And then I'm glad plan A didn't work out, because I don't.
Isn't that something?
And plan B was to do farmers markets and street fairs, which have been more, I've met more people, and I've been more successful doing that than I would have at the and less confined, because I don't have to be in some place every day for a minimum of 5 to 6 hours selling, plus baking at least another 7 or 8 hours a day. This way, it's like you do the baking for the affair, and then if you want to take off the next day and go to the beach, you can do that. But if you have a brick and mortar, you can say, well, I'm going to go to the beach, but you can rest assured probably by the end of 3 months, you're not going to have a business. Yeah, so this way,
So true.
I can take off when I get good and ready. It's like, and if I don't feel like doing the farmers market, it's like, oh, I'm not doing it. But if I had a freaking mortar, it's like, you got to open that door, whether you want to or you don't. So it's, I'm happy with my plan B.
I know, my goodness. And it's so great too, is because you don't have to have high advertising costs, because people always come to the farmers markets. They're always looking for it. And then to have that extra added on there while they're getting their healthy veggies and their fruits and other items that they get. Listen, and then to see that sweet dessert table. I mean, that was amazing to be able to go there and see. Oh, and the way you have everything presented, which the viewers saw in our little video that we inserted showing, all the things that you do, how the treats that you offer is just so incredible and so delectable and delightful for those that you even allow people to have a little sample of it. And my goodness, that lemon cake, oh my goodness. That is, I don't know. There's always an ingredient, and I'm sure, like you said, like they used to say in some of the movies, like, I can tell you, but I'd have to kill you after I tell you. There's always an ingredient, no matter what the cook gives or chef gives, and you try to imitate that. There's something that they hold back that's like the secret that makes it really so special. And I love lemon cake, and I've had different lemon cakes, but your lemon cake has something in it that we'll never know. It's some secret ingredient because it is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting you to tell me, but I know that I just know it. I've eaten too many lemon cakes. And after having had yours, I know that there is some from great grandma, somebody handed down something, or either you experimented and tasted and tried something that was new, because it was just so awesome. It was. I mean, that's why I kept coming back every time I saw you to get more and more. Wow. That is just terrific, though. But everything that you have done that has brought you to this point, and your online presence, I think, and sharing with the viewers, they actually get to see someone in action who actually, by faith, took those steps, and actually started and was consistent. And maybe that's something to speak about too, is the consistency of something showing up. Like if you were so great in being consistent with the vending in the farmers market, that people began to just look for you, look for your table, Judith Dessert Boutique. That's such a beautiful name. Maybe you could tell us the little background story on how you named your business too.
The naming of my business came because I wanted it to be like when you go to a boutique, like, and you're picking out, they have all different types of dresses and pants and blouses. They have a little bit of everything. And I said, I wasn't going to just sell cookies, or I wasn't going to just sell pies. So I said, I wanted it to be like a little boutique, but for desserts. So that's how it began. And I felt it was very important, not just to have my face, but to have my name. I wanted to distinguish it from everybody else's, because bake shop, I wanted it to say Judith's. That was so important to me. So that's how I got the name Judith's Dessert Boutique. That it was mine. Whose boutique it was mine. And how I with the cakes and stuff like that. It basically, I'm going to say what I'll talk about is in the lemon cake. It was a long, hard process to get to where it is now. It wasn't that, if you tasted my first lemon cake to the lemon cake I make today, you would wonder who made the first one. Because it's like, they're not the same person. So it's like definitely trial and error. And it's kind of funny. When I think about it, I can do it with, I like to say I can make the cake with, not even without even looking at a recipe or anything. It's just like, okay, I just know what's there. I think it's just, automatically, I don't have to think about it. It's just, and that I don't have to think about really anything with timing or things like that. So we're in. I have a nemesis, which is brownies. And during the pandemic, I had decided. I said I was going to do one thing and learn to do it well. Because every time I made brownies, you could use them for a doorstop. And that was the nicest thing I could say about my brownies is like, well, you need it'll keep your door from closing. And so I decided, I said, I am going to learn how to make brownies. And it took me several mess ups. There was a lot of brownies that went into the trash. And I was like, okay. And when they finally got them to do what they were supposed to do, it's like, now I've done it. And then so a friend of mine said, oh, when are you going to put them on your menu? I was like, they're not going on the menu. I just needed to know how to make them. I want to be able to say, and people ask me if you can make a brownie. I'd say, I can say yes. Because everyone looks at you and you say, you can't make brownies. I was like, now I can say I know how to make brownies. I'm not selling them. I know how to make them, and I'm happy with it. And sometimes, like in business, you have to do things just for yourself, not for anybody else. It's just like, and satisfaction is like, I can do it, and that brings more pleasure than it's not than $100,000. Like, I know how to do it. So that's what brownies was to me, was learning how to get them done properly and taste good.
And taste good. That was a personal desire, right? Being that you're baking, to be able to bake brownies. Oh, that's another temptation. My goodness, those brownies are so good. And you know what? I want to talk about, you won certificates and awards for your cooking. And sometimes that's very courageous, because sometimes people don't like to enter what they have into a contest where there's other competition. You won the Sam's Club Holiday Program winner. You were that, and you were also the Edible Jersey Magazine Food Artisan of the Year in 2014. How did you, get into, the award circuit where you entered some of your treats into, out there competitively?
The first in the Sam's Club, I was going through the score, and Sam's Club had did a contest with 50 scores across the country, and it was the first time they did something like this. And it looked at your business plan and also your product. And so there were 2 winners from the state of New Jersey, and I was one of them. And it was funny because I had just started business. And when Sam's called me, they says, you really can't talk about this yet. And I thought it was a friend calling me like a joke. I was playing. I was like, okay, I'll go along with it. And so when they called and they were telling me that I won this, and you're going to get a trip to Dallas, and you're going to go. You're going to meet the different heads of department at Sam's, and so I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm playing along.
And so then they went, and they said, well, they told me when they were sending me the plane tickets and the hotel. I was like, really? And so that was that one. I was just really surprised. And then the food artisan, it was just, I always got the magazine Edible Jersey, and I had through the farmers market, I had met people that have won the award. And so so I said, well, I'm going to enter, but I said, I never will win. And again, like, when I won, I was like, I can't believe, because I knew others, the people who had entered that year. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna win, but I really would like to. And when they called me, I was just like,
Oh my
ecstatic. I was
goodness.
just ecstatic. So, and as I said, it opened up a lot of doors and things like that. So those awards, I had, those are the only two contests I really have ever entered. So.
Wow. And how many others entered during the time that you were participating in this contest? About, would you say?
I
10,
know
20 people?
Well, at least for Edible Jersey, I know there were at least another 10 to 12 other food players that had entered. And for the contest, for the score, as I say, there was just 2 of us from the state of New Jersey that won, but it was open to all score in the state of New Jersey. So I don't know how many other chapters entered, but I know, as I say, it was that every state in the United States had 2 people to win, and doing that to me was the one thing that I really got from that. I met people that had like $1 million businesses, and here I was. I hadn't been in business for 6 months, and I'm there. And they had people that had been in business for 10 plus, 20 plus, and then family had passed down businesses. And I'm in the presence. I want to say greatness of just, you're there, and it's like, and people would say, wonder how long you've been in business. I'm like, 6 months. What do you, just, and just listening to them, to them, I was just like, I knew that of course it was a gift from God, but I knew I was supposed to be there.
To be there, yes, yes.
It's like, well, this could you can be this in a couple of years.
Wow.
And I took everything I got from there, from the different workshops and stuff like that.
That is tremendous. Wow. I tell you, what a journey. I mean, to start a business and to continue to launch that business, and by faith, through even the challenges that you had, even through the physical, challenge, and I'm sure business challenges or things, because I know the enemy doesn't let us get through anything unscathed or just smooth sailing. That's just not his MO. He's not going to do it. But with all those things, I mean, you kept speaking to yourself, and that's where, as we come to the close of the interview, I would like you to kind of speak to those viewers who may be now thinking that, maybe I can do this, to just know that, there may be some rough days, some hard times, but what your faith means to you that carried you all the way through.
If this is something that's been in your heart and you feel that you can do this, you've prayed about it, you can do it. We can do it. It's just like, it's not going to be easy. It's like, there's going to be plenty of bumps in the road, but go ahead and do it. Try it. You don't want to be 5 years from now saying, I wish I had done it, or I'm too old. You're never too old. You're as old as you think you are. And that's it. You just say, well, all right. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You haven't lost anything, but you don't want to be where you, as I say, 5 years from now saying, I wish I had done this. And this way, and I do say, it's like a joke I say with other friends, and people say to you, what's your exit plan? And I say, my exit plan is to turn off the lights and walk out the door. And that's my exit plan. It's because it's like, I've done it and I've
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time to do something else. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
won't, it's like you've tried it, you were successful at it, and you've enjoyed it. And if it's time to, and when it's time to be end, it's over, and that's it. And nothing to feel guilty about. It's the that I did it. I did it, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And I believe, and especially I look at my age, and I'm saying it helps. It gives me something to get up in the morning and
Morning.
do. It's like it helps you from being old.
Mm-hmm. So true. Yes.
It keeps you from being old, and so, and that's it. Find something. And you find something that you love to do, and it's not a job. It's just fun, and it's
Mm.
like. And as I said, and I go back to the first person that bought the cake for me, and just like that, and when when I have that look on my face, that okay, I know it's time to stop. As long as I have that every time that person that bought my first cake and saw his face, I am just like, as long as I see that, I know it's time to
Mm.
continue to work at it, continue to strive to be the best.
That is so wonderful. Judith, this has just been so wonderful to see you, to hear you, to know, how the Lord has brought you through, overcome, and continue on. And what he put in your heart to do, you do it with all your might. And look at where it is. I mean, it's just amazing. There's people can be left without no excuse by saying, they can't. You can. It's just a matter, are you willing to work? Just because God gives you an assignment or something to do, a desire of your heart to do, doesn't mean that work doesn't come with it or that it's going to be easy every step of the way. And that, doesn't take away from the fact that that's something that God may be calling you to, or, inspiring, motivating you to do this, that there is, purpose in it. And so it's just been a pleasure to hear from you today, and see all that you have done and what you're doing. I'm looking forward to some more tasties, even as things open up. That maybe I can get you at Whole Foods, and what I can't, the things that I can't order and get, that I can come and get, because I do want to try that cake. Oh my goodness, the hummingbird cake that you spoke about. My goodness, I tell you, everything just is so great. And I want to thank you for your time today, for being on the well and inspiring the viewers, in something that they really given us something to think about. And I thank God for that, because you're a living example. You're proof it can be done. You're proof it can be done. That, what the Bible says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. If you have faith in God, he is pleased, to help you to do this desire that is in your heart. Because I believe he put it in there. And all those things you were learning coming up, that wasn't by accident. The Lord had this plan from the very beginning that this would be there. And he put that desire in your heart to do it. So, and made the way and opened the doors, and all those things I don't believe were coincidental or by chance, that's all in God's divine providence. So I thank you for being a vessel that we could look upon and hear from today. And before, I say goodbye to the viewers, I'm going to ask you, would you close us out in a word of prayer?
Lord Jesus, we thank you. We thank you as we come before you. We thank you for the conversation that you gave us today, that it was not just a television program, but Lord, that you were able to come through, that the people that are watching it will feel the love that is spent between the two of us. And I thank you for all that thou hast done and what thou art going to do. As you continue to use the well to be a blessing to the people of God, we thank you for all things. In thy name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, I tell you, this has just been a joy and a delight. And viewers, I know you were blessed, and I pray that you will come back and gather around the well with us for more conversations every Thursday on Facebook page Beverly D. Allen and YouTube channel every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on Beverly D. Allen Ministries. And so until we meet again at the well, I'm going to say have a great day, a great week, and a blessed weekend in the Lord. And Judith, again, I want to thank you so much for being on the well. Thank you so much. And to the viewers, we're just going to say goodbye to you, and we'll see you again around the well. God bless you.